Curse of Strahd, Part 14, Chapter 15, Werewolf Den. This particular locale, the Werewolf Den, is a cavern adventure, kind of small, but as you can see, is essentially vaguely shaped like a wolf, with its tail being this little area that heads up to this top area right here with the secret door. Here's the mouth of the den, which growls out into the distance. Now, you get, of course, an approach as the player characters come to the werewolf den. This, of course, could be a location where one of the treasures might be hidden, or your player characters may have simply wanted to fight a bunch of werewolves or take out the werewolf den and thus prevent them from attacking at a different time. As you go into the different locations, you just get, well, different werewolves, kind of standard werewolves, and regular old wolves that are also there. And in addition, a few unique characters that humanize the werewolves just a little bit. Although most of these characters will begin in werewolf or hybrid form or wolf form. One of them is Emil Taranskew, if I'm pronouncing that right. Just another member of the pack. There are other members of the pack, and some of them have personal images, like Zeluka Terranskul, for example. But of course, the player characters are going to encounter them in wolf form or werewolf form, unless the DM chooses to have them be in human form, which is a better idea if you want the player characters to get to roleplay with some of these individuals and have them turn into werewolves while the player characters are talking to them. Now, you do get some other individuals as well, like I said, scattered about the cave. There are also some children that are trapped in the cave here that perhaps the player characters are there to rescue. And essentially, you end up with a pile of treasure in the end. It's mostly copper and silver, so it's not great treasure. And potentially one of the fortunes of Ravenloft. And again, the top area, the Ring of Stone, which is an, Ring of Stone and Spears, that is the end of the adventure. It's real quick, actually. And because it's so small, 130 feet long as a cave, odds are if a battle takes place in the entrance, everything in the back of the cave will hear that battle taking place and will likely become just one big fight if that's where it goes. Now, of course, the player characters could be more stealthy and use paths without trace and, take out the werewolves one by one or something like that, but in my group, it was one big battle, effectively. It is kind of a neat design for a locale, at least from the DM's perspective, because it again vaguely looks like a wolf. And there's just a bunch of werewolves all over the caves. Now, there is, of course, some special events. The leader of the pack, this is if Kirill Stoyanovich, the literal leader of the pack, who has 90 hit points as a werewolf, returns with 6 other werewolves and 9 regular wolves. This is if the player characters haven't killed him and his wolves, or many of his wolves. They're out hunting and they will be returning with a giant goat or something similar to that, and then dealing with that situation. Now, there's, of course, every hour the player characters are in the cave, there is I think it's an 18, the DM rolls a d20, and 18 to 19 or 18 to 20, he shows up with his pack and returns. So it's not super likely that it is going to happen, but it very much could happen. This could lead to the player characters going back to the werewolf den at some point as well to finish off the rest of the pack if they haven't dealt with him already. And again, there's the problem of what to do with a bunch of kids that are trapped in the cave, and there's some options of what could happen to them. They could be given to the were-ravens and all that, and what to do with the werewolf children, because there are werewolf children here as well. Again, it's a cave, and the player characters are here to essentially break in and destroy those within. It's kind of like a home invasion scenario, only you're home invading a group of werewolves. Although I don't know if that was the intention of the designers of this adventure. Now, overall, I would say this particular adventure, or version, this chapter, is a 4 out of 5. It's concise. It's, to the point. It's got an interesting design. And it tries to humanize the werewolves a little bit, although it doesn't go about it in a great way. It can easily just become one big fight, and then it's kind of it's over. You can usually run this sub-adventure in about 4 hours, give or take. Now, guys, if you like these reviews, you want to see more of them, especially my next review, which will definitely be the Amber Temple, which is the penultimate chapter I'll be reviewing for Curse of Strahd, and then finally, lastly, chapter 4, Castle Ravenloft. Then subscribe, like the video if you can, check out the Patreon if you'd like, and stay tuned for more content.